Hey everybody, Bob here, and winter's coming on. As a matter of fact, we've had a little bit of snowfall here in Colorado, and Christmas is just around the corner, Thanksgiving next week, and so I want to throw out a couple of Christmas songs for you guys to work on this year. And if you recall from last year, I did a Jingle Bells lesson for you in the Chet Atkins style, and I put a couple lessons out on how to get started playing Chet Atkins style. And if you need a refresher on that, I'll link back to those. If you already dig Chet like I do, then hopefully you'll have some fun with this one. And if you're new to the style, hopefully you'll take some time to try to learn how to play like this, because it's really fun. The guitar sounds great played this way. So let me play this for you, and then I'll break it down a little bit. I'm sure you'll recognize this one immediately. And as Chet always liked to say, I know there's some critics out there, so I rehearsed a couple of mistakes in that piece for you so you'd have something to talk about. So let me break this down for you a little bit. It's based, I'm going to do this in two parts, so we'll do the verses, the first verse, second verse, and then I'll come back with the bridge and the ending. So the first verse is basically just A and E. All the verses, I should say, are basically just A and E7. And these are a couple of voicings that I grabbed from Chet. This one he used in a couple of songs that I've learned through the years, Livy and Rose, and In the Good Old Summertime. And so it's basically an A6 chord. So we got our basic A shape, and then the sixth is the F sharp here on the second fret on the 7th string. So this is at the 5th fret. It's like an F chord moved up to be an A with the 6th added in. And what's cool about Chet a lot of times is his use of open strings. So I used a lot of open strings in this arrangement. So on the A chord, the A6 chord, I'm using the first string open, and this helps us get the melody because it's so it's got the E, F sharp, and then the E, and then I'm going down here to the C sharp, which is part of the chord. Then I got to grab the A here, so now I'm putting my first finger on the A, back to the F sharp, and then back to the open E again. So my first finger's on and off. And then the next part of the melody is just this back and forth. Oops, I'm getting ahead of myself here. Then back to the A again. And then I'm going to the E7. Now there would have been a few different ways to grab this, but again, this is something that I learned from Chet, and the song that comes to mind for me on this one is Cheek to Cheek. Chet had a great arrangement of Cheek to Cheek, and he uses a voicing similar to this in that song. So now here's E9th, which you may know if you play blues or funk guitar. So I'm using elements of that E9th chord. So I'm playing the G sharp here on the 4th string, 6th fret, D and F sharp in the 7th fret on the 3rd string and 2nd string. And the melody is a G sharp, so I'm having to stretch back here to the 4th fret to grab the melody. Whoops, I should have hit an E bass there. Like that. So there's what I'm using for the E7 chord. And then, again, we get into some open string stuff here for the melody on the Rudolph had a very shiny nose, and if you ever saw him. So now I've got a D, E, D, and then a B, and then back to the G sharp again. So I got the D string here, then I'm going open E, back to the D, and then the B, and then the F sharp, and then back to the open E again. So again, I got a little movement here on the left hand. So right there, so I got to add my index finger back in. So first of all, I'm going from this, and I'm taking out the first finger and the fourth finger, and then I'm putting the fourth finger back on the F sharp, and then I've got to get back to my open E again. So the first finger's coming off again, and now I've just got the E to the F sharp back and forth here, and that's where I jumped the gun a second ago on the A chord. So then I got the first part again, this is just like before, and the same thing, a lot of repetition here, but now here's the melody's a little bit different. It goes the melody. So now I've got my E to F sharp, and then I'm going to this E7 chord voicing, which is, still got my G sharp here on the 4th string, D on the 7th fret on the 3rd string, my E on the 2nd fret, or 2nd string, 5th fret, and my B now is the melody, which is up here on the 7th string, 1st fret, and I'm going back to the A chord, and then I go to an A7 to set up the change to the D, which is the bridge, which we're going to talk about in another video. So here's that whole little segment again. One thing I didn't mention is I do go down here to the A, like a little bar chord A here in the 2nd fret, to get the melody, and it goes from here. So that's easy enough, and I could have played that here, but I liked it better going down here, so that's why I chose to go down there. And the right hand on this, I want to talk about that for a second. It's our basic alternating bass pattern for the most part. On the A, when I'm doing the A chord, I'm going 5th string, 4th string, 6th string, 4th string. Back and forth, and then I'm muting back here, like we've talked about in some other lessons, with the fleshy part of the hand here, laying across the bridge where the strings cross. Now when I go to the E, I'm not truly doing an alternating bass pattern. I guess it is sort of, but if I think of an alternating bass, I always think of the root and the 5th to really have that kind of sound. And Chet would often do that, wrap his thumb around on an chord like this to get the bass. I wanted to simplify it just a little bit, especially if you're new to this style. It's going to be tricky enough as it is, but I didn't want you to have to stretch and grab this note with your thumb, so I left it out. So my alternating bass on the E chord, I'm just going 6th string, 4th string, 6th string, 4th string, back and forth. So that's how I'm able to keep it pseudo alternating bass, I guess, without making it too complicated with the thumb stretching over the top of the neck. Okay, so there you go. There's the beginning section. I'll tab it out for you and post that up, and hopefully you'll have fun with it. And if you want to, you start getting a little more comfortable with it. I played it kind of slow, but you can speed it up. Okay, so there you go, a little bit faster, so you could hear what that would sound like. And I'll be back with part 2 sometime in a few days. So practice, and I'll see you then.